I travelled to the coolest island in Greece that you've never heard of. Stick around if you want to find out more. So the island I travelled to is called Samothraki, or Samothrace, and it's located in the northern part of the Aegean Sea, just south of a city called Alexandroupolis. Now, the island itself was absolutely beautiful, but first and foremost, let's cover just how hard it was travelling during a pandemic. I've actually got a list of things here so that I can remember just how many things I had to take with me to get around. To leave Britain, Scotland specifically, and get into Greece, I had to bring a passenger location form, or a PLF, for Greece. Firstly, because that's where I'm going. I had to fill in a PLF for Poland, because we were travelling to Greece via Poland. I had to take a test, prove that it was negative. Within 48 hours of the journey, I had to bring documentation proving that. I also had to prove that I had a return flight booked so that I could leave in the first place, and finally I had to also prove that I had pre-booked a pile of tests that I would take for my self-isolation when I got back in Scotland, which I am now currently doing, giving me plenty of time to edit this video. So the journey itself to get to Samothraki was not the easiest. Considering how close by Greece is geographically, it was very, very difficult and quite arduous. We left Edinburgh, got a flight to Krakow, Poland, and then sat there for a while, then got a flight from Poland to Thessaloniki, the second largest city in Greece. Then from Thessaloniki, we got a bus to Xanthi, stayed there for a day. From Xanthi, we got a bus to Alexandroupolis, where we then got a ferry to Samothraki. So quite a lot of travel to get somewhere that is not that far away. But let me tell you, it was worth it. And with any journey had during these trying, difficult times, we must always say goodbye to those who we love most. No, not our family, our dogs, and our cats. Please forgive me, boy. I'll be back soon, I promise. Oh, I'm sorry. You too, but you're a cat, so you don't really care, do you? Still, see you in a few. We left to get our first plane at about 7 AM. We then got that plane to Poland and had to sit in Poland for about 4 hours. The flight itself, it wasn't very long, an hour and a half, 2 hours. But the waiting in Poland gave me the opportunity to, chill out, have a coffee, and feel really, really guilty because I don't speak a second language because I'm just so uncultured. One of the most striking things about travelling from Scotland to Krakow was just how strikingly busy the airports here are. They're just absolutely bustling all the time. When you're on planes during a pandemic, you have to keep your mask on throughout the entire process of everything. You put your mask on going through customs, you have your mask on the plane for the whole plane ride, when you get off, all of it, the whole way through, which is understandable. But it was kind of a bit weird to begin with, seeing in an airport just with people with their faces covered. From there, we then got another plane to Thessaloniki, which again, not that long of a flight, but the wait before made it pretty painful. When we arrived in Thessaloniki, we then had to get a taxi where we got ripped off and got charged way more than we should have to go to the bus station, where I then got my first experience with the Greek temperature. Yeah, granted, wearing a black shirt and black thick jeans probably wasn't the best choice for arriving in a country with a resting temperature of about 30 degrees Celsius for the whole duration we were there, and that's on the cooler side. We then sat there for a while and then got the bus. The bus was painful because of the heat, because I had not adapted to the heat yet, but I made it through and the scenery was absolutely outstanding. Every aspect of Greece is beautiful. When we arrived at Xanthi on the bus, it was pretty late, so we just kind of crawled into bed and slept. We spent a couple of days in Xanthi, which was great. I got to experience a bunch of Greek things, and I had my first run-in with frappe. If you've not been to Greece, or I don't know if it's in other Mediterranean countries, but in Greece, that's the first time I experienced frappe. If you haven't experienced frappe before, Approach it with caution. It is the strongest coffee I have ever drunk in my life, and I was more or less running on that instead of diesel for the duration of this holiday. It's basically they take instant coffee and a pile of sugar, they melt it in a tiny bit of water, and then they whip it up till it gets this really thick foamy head on it, and then they mix in a bit of ice or milk, and it just, like, the first time I drank it, just blew my head off. It was so strong. On top of that, I had my first gyro. Gyros are basically the best thing Greece has ever made. It's effectively a pita bread stuffed with chicken or pork and chips covered in a pile of awesome sauces and tzatziki, which is basically yogurt with garlic and cucumbers in it. It sounds basic, but it is the best thing I have ever eaten. Gyros are not a food item. They're a lifestyle choice. They are amazing. Also spanakopita, don't forget that, that's good too. Food was a much bigger part of this trip than I initially intended it to be. It's safe to say I've taken a liberal approach to my calorie consumption while being in Greece. No regrets though, totally worth it. After spending a couple of days in Xanthi, we got the bus from Xanthi bus station to Alexandropoli. Didn't really get much time to experience Alexandropoli. I was only there for about 2 hours before getting on the ferry, which was just a fairly standard ferry. It took about an hour and a half until we arrived in Samothraki. The arrival to Samothraki was amazing. Like, seeing the island in the window, it was just so beautiful. It was like something from a cheesy film or from a postcard or something. It was just absolutely beautiful. When we got off the boat, everyone's just clamoring to get out, because it's more like, for people that live on Samothraki, the ferry is more like a bus. It's very regular and they're just totally used to it. So everyone's just clamoring to get on and off. I stepped off the ferry and the first thing I thought was, my god, this place looks just like a postcard. We stepped out onto this like boardwalk by the sea with a row of shops and another road leading off into sort of what looks like rural fields. While I was on Samothraki, we stayed in a Airbnb, which was just a small rented room that served its purpose perfectly fine. We didn't spend much time staying in it. The best thing about the accommodation was the dog that was with the accommodation, Zula. She was the friendliest dog I have ever met. She was an outside dog, so we weren't really supposed to let her into the room, but I just couldn't help myself. On the last day we let her into the room, spent the best part of an hour and a half cuddling her. Couldn't help it. Knew we weren't allowed to let her in the room, but look at her, she's just too cute. Oh, look at your tummy. Gonna miss you more than everything else on this trip, aren't I, Zula? Yeah. You good girl. No regrets though. We probably undid the owner's training, so there's going to be a lot of people that hate that and think I'm a terrible person, but I'm only human, and that was a really cute dog. One of the first things we did on Samothraki was go to Phonias, which literally translates as the killer. Today we're going to a waterfall called what? The Killer. Called the Killer, yeah. You're taking a thalassophobic person to a waterfall called the Killer.
I went there when I was 12, it's fine.
Yeah. The name is a bit misleading because it's anything but terrifying. It's absolutely beautiful. It's a series of pools up the side of this mountain that are fed into by waterfalls. There's 7 in total, and everyone goes to these, from young children to old people to tourists, everyone. They go up it to varying levels of height, because as you go up it gets more difficult but progressively more beautiful. On day 1 we went to the bottom pool and it's amazing. It's like, it's stuff that I didn't think was real until I saw it. I thought it was overhyped, kind of cheesy, advertised bollocks that doesn't really exist, but no, it's real and it's amazing. It was beautiful. It was this crystal clear freshwater pool with all these people just jumping in and out of it to cool off. It was amazing. The next pool up that we got to was referred to as the granny pool, because apparently someone's granny got in the pool and didn't get out again. I just hope to God that they fished her out at some point. Irregardless, still a really pretty pool. After that, we had to head back because we screwed up our timing and we didn't have enough time to go all the way up. So we headed back and we went up the next day. I forgot to mention, on the first day, we got very, very lost. Not gonna say that I'm lost, because if I don't admit it, then it's not true. That's how hiking works, right? Which is pretty much why we ended up running out of time. We bumped into 2 people that were also travelling around Samothraki, but they were from Greece, and together the 4 of us found our way to the right section and felt incredibly stupid because on the way back it was, we don't know how we got lost. It was such an easy path to follow. It's bizarre that we even got lost in the first place. On the second day we returned and we went up past the 2 pools straight to the 3rd pool, where we found this tiny little pool that no one was near. It was beautiful. It was this tiny little scooped out pool with a waterfall feeding into it, but no one seemed to know it was there. So we had this tiny pool all to ourselves, and I got some amazing footage there. It's just spectacular. Following that, we went up to the fourth pool, and I got the fright of my life when it was full of nudists. Yeah, I have no problem with nudism, it's just I wasn't expecting to crawl to the top of this cliff and be greeted by some guy's arse. It kind of caught me off guard a wee bit. But you know, I just kind of got used to it and moved through it, and had tried nudism myself while I was there, because you can't really be fully clothed when everyone else is naked. It makes them uncomfortable. But that was a first for me. Swimming naked right now. I can show you her because she's suitably censored. But yeah, no, I think I get why the Greeks do this so much. This is remarkably nice. First time skinny dipping. Not a bad location for it. And I'll only say this, nudism should not be knocked until it is tried. I get it now. Would not do it in Scotland because my balls would probably shrivel up and drop off because it's so much colder here. But in a country like Greece, I get it. Yeah, I see the appeal of it. Sitting in a pool of water in a waterfall at the top of a mountain in Greece in the scorching heat naked was very, very pleasant actually. Did make it rather hard to get lots of nice footage of the area though. Sort of dipping and diving to avoid all the errant penises and boobs just kind of flying all over the place. On the way back down from Funyass, when we got to the street that we arrived on, we realised we'd missed the bus. So we had to walk in the scorching heat, and it was absolutely awful. However, we hitchhiked, and I know what you're thinking, hitchhiking, that's really dangerous because, you know, you're going to get abducted and murdered and dumped in a river somewhere, but because this island's so small, hitchhiking is actually very safe. So we managed to hitchhike a good 3/4 of the way there, but that final quarter to get back to the town we were staying at, Kamariotisab, was absolutely brutal. It was so hot, we're just crawling along the street. Say hi to the camera.
Hello.
We're both very tired, very hot, and we've been hitchhiking for like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
We've got about half an hour left in terms of walking. If we can get a car, then that will shave down to what, like 5 minutes? Can't complain too much because we did manage to hitch 3 rides, but kind of wish we could get that fourth one so we can go home. But he is very sunburnt. To be fair, if we're going to die of dehydration, pretty good place to do it. All things considered.
It's salt water there.
No, that's not what I meant. I meant it's pretty.
Oh.
Yeah. The dehydration is making her delirious. My god, it was brutal. But we got back and then promptly ate about 8 kilograms worth of watermelon before collapsing. The day after that, we went to the Sanctuary of the Great Gods, which was by far, for me personally, the best part of the trip. It was absolutely outstanding. There was these ancient Greek ruins and they were just beautiful. I can't pronounce what it's called in Greek. I'm not gonna try to. Try again.
We're going to Ieraton Megalontheon.
The Sanctuary of the Great Gods is famous because it's where the statue of Nike was kept. And if you don't know what that is, you've probably seen it without realising it, or at least seen an image of it. It's a very famous Greek statue which is headless with wings because it's been damaged. It was found there, but it's now located in France. Fun fact about that though, Nike is spelled Nike. If you think that's a coincidence, you are completely wrong. Nike is the goddess of victory, right? This blew my mind. Nike is the god of victory. The brand Nike puts their swoosh, right, their tick on the side of their clothing, on the sides of their shoes, and it's referred to as Nike's wings. The wings of Nike. Nike's wings. You've got the wings of victory on your clothing. That was mind-blowing. I don't buy Nike, but god damn, that was a cool revelation. There's so much more thought put into that brand name than I initially realised. It was awesome. After visiting the Sanctuary of the Great Gods, we spent the last few days just kind of chilling out, eating food. I got to try a bunch of new foods. Tsureki was a really good one, which is it's like a festive bread. The one I tried wasn't traditional at all. It was covered and filled with chocolate, so of course it's going to taste good. This thing looks awesome. You want to do the honours of chopping this in half for me? Ooh, it's the money shot.
It's the shop, this chocolate.
It's my favourite phrase. Oh damn, look at that. So to describe it, it kind of smells like a cinnamon roll that's covered in chocolate. I mean, obviously smells awesome, so let's go. I see why you actually eat these.
It's good.
It's really good. It's just an Easter thing, is it?
Usually, but when it's for Easter, they braid it. And usually they put like a red egg in the middle.
A red egg. Definitely got a leg up on Easter eggs. But on top of that, I also had baklava. If you haven't heard of baklava, it's fine. I just don't have any respect for you as a person because it's objectively one of the best cakes on the planet.
Baklava.
You should know what this is. If you don't know what this is, I have no respect for you. This is one of the greatest cakes on the planet. Fight me if you disagree. No, it's the best. Best cake ever. No, I'm not going to accept any arguments on it. Best cake. Also, if you've watched any of my other videos, you probably know now that I am acutely thalassophobic. So I thought, why not try and push myself a bit to get over my thalassophobia? And my god, it was beautiful, but damn, it was scary. Last time I did this, I was in Scotland, so the cold water was distracting me from how scared I was. I don't have that excuse here. Well, it's not cold, I guess that's nice. It's quite deep, but I swear to God, the fact that I'm like walking on rocks, it's like walking on needles. Oh, makes it so much worse. This looking out over the ocean, this is creepy. But being like under the water and looking out, that is so much worse. I'm just waiting for Cthulhu to grab me. It lasted about 5 seconds in water and it was about chest height. Oh my god, I hate it, it's so bad. And the rocks are so slimy, and I'm being emasculated. I did better than I think I did. Probably going to make a series of videos on me coming to terms with thalassophobia because I love the ocean and it really annoys me that I can't experience it fully without fear. This is me telling myself now, you're gonna get over the fear, right? Just suck it up. One of the nicest things about Samothraki, which is probably not the nicest thing for everyone, but I really enjoyed it, was that there was tons of strays. We had a line of cats that would sit with us while we ate dinner fairly regularly, and I know you're not supposed to feed the strays, but I couldn't not, okay? They're too cute. So we ended up with a little kind of choir of cats sitting next to us while we ate dinner. Never felt more pressure than when I'm eating dinner than when I do here. Got a full little procession here looking at me. Oh, there's another one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 cats. Watch. Seven cats watching me eat my dinner. I feel so bad. One thing I forgot to talk about was Therma. Therma is another area on the island with some hot springs as well as waterfalls for dipping in. In order to talk about that, I probably have to address that there's a massive kind of hippie element on the island. It attracts that kind of personality. So going through Therma is the hippiest area you will ever see. I have never seen more dreadlocks and harem pants in my entire life. In Therma, there was a second nudist waterfall as well as the final waterfall we went to, which was again totally amazing and beautiful with people swimming in every part of it. We didn't have time to actually dip into that one, which I really regret because it was absolutely beautiful and would have been amazing to swim in. So what are my final takeaways from Greece? Everyone smokes there, so just accept it, don't have a problem with it. 2, nudism should not be knocked until it is tried. And 3, frappe and gyros are not food items, they are lifestyle choices. If you go to Greece and you're not vegan or vegetarian, you're realistically gonna live on those, so just kind of embrace it and accept that you're gonna gain a couple of kilos. I'm eating far too many of these, way more than I can justify eating. All in all, I'd say that was a great vacation and more importantly, a great set of experiences that I gained from doing it. I tried a bunch of new things and that was absolutely amazing and I'm thankful that I was able to. I'm looking forward to being able to go new places and try new things in the future. This is just a starting off point. I plan on going to many more places and trying many new things. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to like and subscribe. I also have a TikTok and an Instagram that I will link in the description. Hope you all enjoyed this video and I'll catch you in the next one.